Good Monday, everybody. This is Dr. Stanley, your pregnancy special. Good Monday. For those who don't know me, I'm Dr. Heather Stanley, your pregnancy specialist, coming to you today, thinking about thoughts and fears. I had a recent experience with a patient. It was a difficult conversation. It required a lot of mindfulness on my part because I was stepping into a situation that I inherited and understood the where the patient's views were. But it was a difficult conversation, and as we were gently parsing out the issues, the benefits, the disadvantages, and the alternatives, it was becoming evident that this patient was struggling with some emotions and she had to spill it out. And how she spilled it out and upon whom she spilled it out was an innocent bystander that had nothing to do with anything, nothing to do with the conversation. And she turned and, like, figuratively projectile vomited her fear as anger onto this unsuspected person. I won't go into the details of how that was dealt with, but it left an impression on me. We don't get that too often. Well, we don't get that in our office too often. I've heard stories from other OBs and other doctors where that seems to be happening more often than not. But in any event, it seems like in modern times, we're linking a fear to different reasons. Now, fear has saved us, and fear is, unfortunately, in some parts of the world, is still a powerful primitive emotion that is being used every day to maintain safety. This fear comes from this lizard brain called the amygdala that takes in and responds to emotions, and it tends to press the panic button. Now, for the most part, in our day-to-day activities here, for those of us who are blessed to not have to live in a constant state of war and fear of life and food resources, lack of food resources, I'm not referring to that. I'm referring to those of us who are blessed to have to get up every day and deal with, what we're doing for work, what meetings we're going to be in, what our ambitions are, the relationships we're in. And I'm talking about that underlying fear that's linked to different reasons. The fear that drives our ambitions, the underlying depression, the fear that comes out as anger or drives our anger. Living in that chronic left brain amygdala fear, that amygdala needs to be reserved for lions, tigers, bears, and equivalent dangers. The fears of making decisions about pregnancies, or how do you handle your boss, or how do I handle my spouse or my partner or my baby daddy that's not supporting the pregnancy. We need to acknowledge that this is a different kind of fear that's generating an anxiety. We need to acknowledge that this is a fear of losing some type of control, and we need to question, where is this fear coming from? Is it a fear of aloneness, or more importantly, loneliness? Is it a fear of unworthiness? Number two, we need to recognize and we need to acknowledge that thinking and feeling is not the same as doing. And so when we encounter an interaction where that triggers those feelings of fear and anxiety, sometimes we don't even realize that's what it is. We need to pause, eliminate that reflex response. Think, take some space, and then craft a response. Sometimes the response is not needed in that immediate moment. Sometimes you need to walk away. Sometimes you need to take a breath. Um, but crafting a response and it's not easy, but might be a little softer, a little kinder, a little bit more empathetic, is something that requires some mental training. Those are the mental muscles that we don't know. We've not been trained. We've not been trained as children we've not been trained as adults to learn how to do. And so turning to a benzodiazepine as a pill will not fix those type of anxieties. It will not give us the tools to counteract that trigger from the amygdala to create a softer, kinder response. So it can be done. I'm testimony to that for those who might know me from back in the day. Yeah, I was the queen of the reflex response. And my responses, you know, were professional. They were nice, but they would skewer. And I had to learn that myself. So if you are interested and would like to know how to retrain, figure out how to create that space between that reflex response after a trigger, please schedule a discovery call with me. It's free. It's not medical. So if you're outside of Florida, this is kosher, so we can still talk. My link is underneath in the comments. It's calendly.com/lasting positive change. It's going to be a week of challenge. It's going to be a week of growth. It's going to be a week of conquering our minds. It's going to be a week of productivity. And we could use all the tools that we can get. So walk good. Have a good Monday. Be kind to others. And I will talk to you soon. Bye.